that issue is quite important because it creates a precedent in law, but actually it's quite common that many people see their lands stolen by Mapuche people in the south. That's why actually my family didn't buy something in the south, actually, because they thought, oh, why are you going to buy something in Patagonia or move on to there if Mapuches can go to this place and take my house after investing in buying this house? It's created more risk to buy something in Patagonia. It is someone to say, oh no, I am part of Native American tribes and I am blonde and I have blue eyes, but I perceive myself as a Native American. So I will take your house because it's my property, because it's part of my native ancestry to take your land.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you. Welcome to the party, pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 371. I am talking to Leonardo Cabral. He is a student in Argentina. He is also a former police officer. So this should be...
I'm not a former police officer. I quit the force.
You quit. Yeah, I said you quit the force. Yes. So you were with so you were doing that for a while when you were turned 18. So Leo is going to give us an interesting perspective on some of Javier Milei's crime proposals in Argentina, since he's been out there on the front lines fighting these people. And since he's young, he can tell us what's going on there. How are you doing, Leo? Or Leo?
I am fine. I was analyzing all of the situation, the political turmoil that we already had this last weekend.
Yes.
Yes, I am ready to ask your questions.
Yeah, and since Leo is having some video issues, we're just going to do this with the audio. That's about all we can do at this point. So anyway, Leo, what is the crimes? How'd you get into all this? First of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
About what are the
how'd you get into libertarianism? How'd you end up on the police force?
Yes, I started with libertarianism more when I studied in university. I had a lot of subjects about classical political theory, philosophy, and I also have a dual degree in public administration. So I studied a lot of new public management theories and applications in several countries during the governments of Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, New Zealand case. And then I started to saw there are some authors that was like hidden, I started to read Hayek at the beginning in second year of university when I was more young. And then I saw another currents of thought, like objectivism and libertarianism. So the first one that I read was Rothbard, actually. I have his book actually there in my library. I really love the whole Rothbard explaining history about the fall of ancient regime, the times of liberal revolutions, then I started with Rousseau and Voltaire, and I saw many critics from Voltaire against Rousseau because his book of social contract, I think that, Voltaire already has a lot of reasons to.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started with to contact some members of libertarian parties here after the discussion about feminism, because I was very interested. I had some free time sometimes, and I saw like in parallelism, the problems with crime in Argentina. Sometimes some people say that Buenos Aires is like Gotham City, because it has a lot of criminals and it has a lot of homeless people. It's like it has like the politics about crime, like California. Like I told you before, it's very relaxed with criminals.
Yeah.
There is a judge actually that make a doctrine in the law about to treat like this to the criminals. Zaffaroni, the Kirchneris, the the government of Cristina is like they make like like an assumption that Zaffaroni is right. They apply their doctrine uh, to how to see the criminals, that like they are victims of society and we are all guilty of their behavior because, oh no, they were poor and they are poor because we are rich, so it's okay if they steal us. So we have to be relaxed with them. And so every criminal in prisons votes too, because it's mandatory to vote in Argentina, and they vote to the Kirchnerist because it's like they are giving the gateway to jail. It's like they give lessons of to be a torture to the prisoners. And
Wow. So even if you go to jail, you're still allowed to vote. That's definitely something that does not happen in America. That'd be a good thing to survey around the world too. Places where you can vote when you're still in jail.
yes, actually, in Argentina, before Javier Milei government, you can still get your cell phone and your notebook in prison.
Oh, geez.
Like 95% of criminals voted for Peronist, for Kirchnerist. Actually, it's like they had units of Peronists inside the prisons. They had like this relaxed hand with the cartels too from other countries. Many immigrants came here to Buenos Aires. We have actually one case last week from some girls that were prostitutes, and they were killed by a Peruvian cartel because they steal like 400 kilos of cocaine, actually,
Oh,
and they had 14 years, and their families served for the Peronists as part of their militant force in La Matanza, in my district. My district is quite huge, actually. It's like half of the west side of Buenos Aires and has
yes.
1 million people. Um, it's like quite eroded, but for how Peronists managed all the infrastructure of the district, they just get all the money and they just spend what they need to get the votes, not what they really need to invest in infrastructure.
Yeah.
Many people has these marginal works. Half of people works in without being present as taxpayers. They just avoid taxes and they work like in, because we always say in negro because they are not um, they just evade how they work. So it's do that it's like a big black market of labor force here.
Yes.
And many people can be prostitutes, like these girls. They were minors actually, and something that it was impressive for me is like the parents already received money from them from these girls, and they were still treated like victims after being prostitutes, and they allowed that prostitution from their little girls. You know, it was how no one remarked that. It's like how no one says that, even the media. Um, it was quite disturbing, even when I saw it in the news. But well, it's like they created this a normality in the mindset of poor people, and that they are class victims, and they always use this logic, a populist logic of, well, the author and us, and actually the author is the rich people, and rich people can be everyone. It's like middle class people. They will be the privileges uh, of society, and I say that, well, the security that state given us as a service is not working, and it's remarkable because they actually don't protect many people who is middle class. That's why many people who is middle class choose go outside of the city and go to live to private countries or private neighborhoods, which already has private security.
Yes.
And this is like free cities because they already have a management, a private management, and there is no presence of a state there. And every year we had more and more of these projects of private neighborhoods, and
Yes.
even more cheap to live there and to buy at least a land to start to build your house there than trying to buy it on a flat in Buenos Aires city. It's actually it's more costly to buy a flat in the city than living there. Maybe the main problem is that many people still have to use their cars to go to the city, but many people works remotely too. So doing something like
Yeah.
free cities and giving them the opportunity to manage themselves, even they don't have presence of the police from the province. They use private security companies. Maybe it's something that we can already do in all the country, even to try to move the people or to create incentives to manage all the territory of the country, because we are concentrated in Buenos Aires city. 40% of people of my country lives near of the city, actually. It's like New York, but half the people of the entire
Yeah.
country lives there, and it's, well, that looks like a more unitarian government than the federal one. United States is a federal country, so they try to create incentives or economic incentives to make people move on to the states, to Montana or another states, maybe Texas. And I already managed to have middle cities. Our middle cities are very little ones compared to United States, and they don't have enough private economy. Actually, many of them.
Yeah. It's one of the, there's quite a few things going on with crime down there. I mean, I don't know. Uh, one thing Milei has talked about, and it looks like they want to lower the age of majority. Basically, if you're under 18, you get a slap on the wrist, and that's about it. Or, I mean, what do you think about Milei's proposal to lower the age of majority for serious crimes? I mean, is he going to lower it to 16 or 14? I mean, what's the deal with that?
It's because in reality, 60% of criminals that goes to what busted for the police department are minors of age. It's like we have criminals with 11 years old, 12 years old.
Oh,
They go in motorcycles and they have guns, and they move on like riders, like 5 or 10 of them during the nights. At 3 a.m. you can hear them. When all is silent, you can hear them with their motorcycles trying to catch someone who is not, or who is trying to work maybe, or who is not taking enough safety guarantees to take his life, because they already wanted someone who is weak to attack. Maybe a woman, maybe someone who is old. Um, the reason for why we had all of criminals who are minor of age is because they cannot go to jail. They cannot comply with the criminal contents that they already had. Um, so that's why the cartels use these childs who go to abandon the schools, as soldiers from the cartels, little cartels. in Argentina, we don't have bigger cartels. We have very little cartels. They are like very, very small units who moves on in a decentralized way, and they are quite independent. And they use these childs who are poor. Um, these children are not very smart. They are from families who are very poor, and maybe they don't have a father figure or even a mother. They are very numerous. Maybe they have like more than 6 or 8 brothers and sisters. They use a lot of drugs too. They don't have guns actually. They just rent the guns from these cartels, and then the cartels, these little organized criminal groups, um, has a target for the use of these guns, which are very old actually too.
Yeah. So, what are some of the, so what will he, is he going to lower it to 16? I mean, I still am a little queasy about prosecuting 11 and 12-year-olds. I just don't think they can quite be, although one thing I would certainly, and most of the time when 11 and 12-year-olds are committing crimes, they're probably egged on by an older person. And that's something I would certainly go after. Anybody who's older and encouraging kids to commit crimes should definitely be prosecuted. But where do you think he's going to go with this? Do you think he's just going to lower it to 16 or lower it to
I
14?
think that they can lower to 14.
Yeah.
They can lower to 14, and try to increase the punishment for people who are using these children. Um, we have a penal code more based in Roman criminal code, and we have 2 categories. One is the first one is dolo, like the intentions to do it something, and the guilt, like, well, you already do that. And if you have both, you can increase the extension of the condemn, to 10 to from 10 to 20 years. But the maximum that you can be in jail is 25 years. More or less, no one is stay more than 10 years
Okay.
in jail. But many of these people commit a lot of crimes. It's like uh, many of them can go to jail because they steal something, but probably they already killed someone, and we cannot prove that. The only one who can do that is the is Ministerio Público Fiscal. It's like, do you remember this figure of Harvey Dent? In Batman, district prosecute, maybe district. Don't remember what the parallel, but they already try to prove why they commit crimes. You know, the judge then decide. We had 2 stages of judges. The first judge just stay there to present the proofs, and try to give all the guarantees for the process, for the legal process, and the second one decides to condemn. Um, so it's quite. They try to don't increase the bias to condemn someone, but still, I think that it will not. It will not. It will not solve the problem about the childrens.
Yeah. Looks like he's going to lower the age of criminal responsibility to 13 years. Wow, that's a well, this is a lot. Certainly a huge. Yeah. Well, that's I'm obviously not living there. The whole situation. I mean, you obviously saw a lot of youth committing crime, though, so that's understandable. Uh, yeah. You know what? If you were, in charge, and what would you do to try to, s- you know, get rid of crime? I mean, here's some.
Well, you have to reform all the public schools, actually.
Yeah, it seems to
Main
me
problem,
it sounds like to me though, you have these things that say people should go to jail and people aren't going to jail because you have these judges and academics and intellectuals are saying, "Oh, you're really all victims, so it's okay to commit crime."
yes, actually, there are people that justify all the crimes, but it's like both sense. In both sense, we don't
Yes.
have a solution. I think that the real problem is a school, and the other main problem is family. It's like there are a lot of dysfunctional families. They are not only poor people.
Yeah.
You can have being part of a poor family, but still you can have a dad, your dad and your mom, and they will take care of you. And it's a poor family. But they are not only a poor family. They maybe don't have a father figure. They don't have a mother figure. There is no one there that create a sense of order or discipline in the more simple way. Then that problem is translated to a school, and the main problem of the school is like we still have like a lot of strikes in public schools. Maybe not in times of President Milei, because we don't have strikes of public schools these last years. But during times of journalism, we have like schools that they don't have classes like half of the year because the teachers from the school make strikes to higher their salaries. They are thinking more in themselves than thinking in the students. Um, so the kids only go to eat in the schools, in the public schools. The public school system actually is quite similar to United States. It's a copy of them. They brought teachers from United States in the 19th century and to create the public school system of Argentina. And but it did not follow the same path. It's like there is no security, there is no bodyguards or police or nothing of it near of a school. The doors are open, everyone can enter, even to steal something from the school. There is no security near of the schools. The salaries are low. Being a teacher in Argentina is being someone who is poor. Many people who are teachers are actually too Marxist or communist and part of Communist Party in Argentina, or maybe from part of the Kirchnerists. Um, so for them, it's like quite easily to make an strike. All their mindset is full of let's make an strike to get higher salaries, which they don't get more higher salary by doing that. They choose destroy the life of kids because they don't give education to these kids.
Yeah, it seems like to me we have another things, a lot of things, where people are just and what's sad is criminality actually causes poverty. It's not the other way. So so by encouraging criminality, you're basically sentencing these people to poverty, or at least they're choosing poverty by choosing criminality. Uh, I do have to ask about some of these other things from, restrictions of parole, toughening of penalties, for corruption, organized crime, and common crimes such as robbery, scam, drug trafficking. And now we see up to 3 years in prison for blocking streets and 2 years for throwing objects during protests. Wow,
That's a lot.
yeah, that's a lot. I guess it's that serious down there. I'm not a fan of traffic blockers by any means, but I don't
Yes,
know.
actually,
I don't know
that's
if I'd
quite
want to go 3 years on them, but yeah.
anti-libertarian
Yeah.
ideas about it's more conservative
Yeah.
biases about security. But actually, we already have like these protests every day for every issue at every hour, even at night. Sorry, my dog is quite nervous. Um, it's like every day you get late to work or to university because someone is protesting for something, and they didn't get the solution by protesting. They just use social movements to get more subsidies, and they are just protesting to get more subsidies from the government. They don't want to give them subsidies, but they just don't protest. They destroyed half of the city doing that. It's like they saw them with access or something like a tool, and they start to destroy the pavement or the streets, to throw rocks to the police, and that's like every day. Something that I saw like quite weird is like the Congress, because every day someone is trying to enter to the Congress. It's like very very common to saw that. It's like no one present charges against these people sometimes. Um, it's like it's not very estimated by the justice to present charges for people who protest. So that will be quite weird to saw someone to go to jail because they protesting or to blockade something.
Yeah, there's definitely. I've heard it's just been a major problem where they just. It's like they try to shut down everything. I mean, and this is almost always exclusively a leftist tactic. I don't see this happening on the right, just where they're trying to. It's literally just trying to disrupt everything that's happening. It's. I do have to ask about one thing, and I've seen this happen. Why this is happening? Why is he? It looks like they're going to criminalize now what's called revenge porn. Why? I mean, that's something I've got to really. I've got. They're doing that here too, and I'm just asking myself, why are they doing this? And for people who may not know, it's basically, for example, if you take dirty pictures of your girlfriend when you're in a relationship, and then the relationship ends, and then later you publish them on the net. Of course, it could, it could also be, taking pictures of your boyfriend too. But that seems to me it's something that should be. So these photos were consensual at the time, but you didn't necessarily consent to them being put out on the web. It seems like, at least in America, that's something that should be held under civil law, not criminal law. I mean, certainly you should be able to sue them, but I don't necessarily agree with criminal charges. What can you tell us about that?
Well, now it's still under civil law. Actually,
Yeah.
suppose if you had a problem like this, now you will have to compensate your ex-boyfriend or
Yes.
ex-girlfriend if you show these pictures or even you sell these pictures. But it's like now that kind of crimes are massive, and I suppose that the government wants to give a, a very strong uh, action against it. Something that is more common actually now is taking pictures of like college of students from boys from schools do that. They took pictures from the girls who are colleges in school, and put another fake mask in AI and sell the picture, or put their faces in a AI model and sell the picture, and that will
Yeah.
be. This is now in the new criminal code, but actually, this criminal code has to pass for the Congress before being active. It could pass. Like it will be for the next year. I don't know if they are going to discuss it. I suppose they had to discuss it because the president present is not this new criminal code. Other codes were just reformed by using like the basis, the basis law, which was like a huge letter of law that needed saying to the Congress. And the aeronautic code was reformed last year, the entire aeronautic code. Um, but they cannot do that with penal or criminal issues as president, as they can.
Yeah.
And he cannot do that too with taxes too. He cannot do this with executive decrees or with a common law, a very simple law. They really need to go to the Congress and pass for to the two stages. The Congress and the Senate, the deputy chamber and the senatorial Senate chamber. To get access to approve this criminal code. It could have a lot of reforms in the middle because every congressman will try to avoid something in the code or to reform one issue or another. So this criminal code still cannot beat the new criminal code. Maybe it could get more reforms, like 30% of the code can be reformed or more, maybe half percent of the code that Milei
Yes. It does sound like, though, that since under Milei's presidency, crime has went down. Students for Liberty tweeted that the homicide rate in 2024 was 3.8 per 100,000 people, and that was the lowest it's ever been in the history of the country. And the only country that had a lower rate was El Salvador. So, less crime certainly is a good, at least less murder is certainly a good sign. And I think that's the crime that most people talk about. I mean, or concerned about. We certainly care more about murder than the kid who steals a candy bar from the grocery store, but or the kids are stealing hubcaps off of cars. But certainly, certainly, it's something we can be proud of. I mean,
Yes, actually, it's quite common because when the rest of the region, the homicide rate was always more higher than in Argentina. Um, we already have an homicide rate lower than Uruguay, and even even before Milei. But because the crimes here are more about steal someone or robber or robberies, or these bandits in motorcycle. Um, but they don't focus it in kill the victim. They are more focused in try to take away their things, their stuff, their bags or shoes. They can steal your shoes,
yeah,
maybe, or cell phones. It's quite common, but it's
yeah,
like we don't want to kill you. Actually, maybe even if we have some homicides during this this committed by these riders, it's because it was an accident or maybe the the thief was nervous, so he shot by accident. It's not like he already wanted to kill someone during the act. They try to avoid that. But in the rest of the region, it's different. We already had a lot of homicides in Brazil and in Peru and Colombia. They already have like homicides rate much more higher than us in every
yes,
situation. It's not like the double. It's like it's massive, like 10 times more,
yep,
maybe 20. So many people from the rest of Latin America try to live here actually because it's more safe for them. It's like, well, at least they are not going to kill me, so I can live there and try to get the citizenship. So it's a great business for a lot of lawyers to try to get to make the service for these foreigner people to get the citizenship. Is quite easily because they just had to stay 3 years of residence in Argentina. Uh, so many people from Latin America get the citizenship from it from in when they stay here. They actually we have public university which is free, so you will see that many people from Colombia and Brazil came to study here.
yeah. I remember riding in an Uber in Peru, and I was looking at my phone, and I had the window down, and the driver told me put the window up. Because people will reach into your car if you're on the phone. And so basically what I did is I went to the middle of the back seat, so I wasn't really close to the window. That whole thing, and certainly you hear things about people on bicycles basically grabbing your cell phone while you have it. I've heard people say that in Mexico too. Don't walk around with your cell phone just being out since it's so easy for them to steal it. And that's and
Yes, actually,
the key
that's
factor with yeah. And the other key factor with cell phone is it's easy to steal, but it's also easy to sell. I mean, that's the second factor. You generally criminals don't generally steal people's clothes or will steal a T-shirt because they can't really sell it. They want something that they can sell. A I've heard even in America that about 10% of all laptops get stolen.
Yes, basically they want to steal your bag.
Yeah.
They try to get a notebook or a laptop,
Yeah.
maybe from students. So they always try to reach the students.
Yeah.
Here. That crime in Argentina has this name Mexicanear. Actually, the idea of steal a cell phone from a car, but it's quite difficult to do that. Actually, it's not very common. They just try to steal the car, the Uber driver, or maybe the car driver in an intersection of streets that has a semaphore, maybe in an avenue, which is very far away. Maybe in some lost neighborhood, they will try to count uh, an Uber driver or a car driver. They will call an Uber driver. They will ask for, oh, can you go to here? I need your service, in my phone. So it's a trap for Uber drivers. Very common to steal their cars. They go with 5 motorcycles, maybe 6, to steal the car. But as you know, there is a chip or a sensor that you can afford and using your car to recover your car after being stolen. It's called the streaks, maybe. Don't know if it exists in the United States,
Yeah.
but it's quite common to use streaks.
Not related to crime, but I just saw this also. In September there were 27.8 more new cars purchased than the year before, 45.5% more motorcycles than the year before. So if people are making major purchases like cars and motorcycles, that tells you people have confidence in what's happening. That's great news out of Argentina. That's not necessarily real crime. What did you see during your time as you worked as an officer? I mean, I can imagine it's got to be very frustrating for police officers to go out and risk their lives to arrest violent criminals, and then these judges just make excuses for them and then set them free.
Yes, basically that's quite common. It's something that maybe you will have to accept because they are charged by one crime and not for the another ones that they cannot prove. The fiscally, the prosecutors can only prove one crime, and and they cannot prove maybe 10 or 20. There is a famous case about this criminal gang called the 12 Apostles. They took a prison and they say, no, I already killed 20 people, but they cannot prove that. They just prove it that I killed 3. So that's the reason why I'm in jail. This is I am making a quotation about what he say. That they took the prison of Sierra Chica for, I think, a month, and they wrote a book about that. And it's like you will see that many people from the media, celebrated that act. And so that's quite frustrating, because it costs a lot to get them to prison. And they took the prison and they wrote a book about that, and it was a bestseller. But yes, it's quite frustrating and it's quite difficult. And maybe you will have to take more extra hours. My family comes from federal police, and my grandfather um, was one of the founding members of this institution.
Yeah.
It was before that was the Metropolitan Police of Buenos Aires, not the federal police. The federal police is more like FBI, because it's in charge of major crimes. So they always have to research or are focused in major crimes and not in simple acts. In something like these minors. They are just try to research enough to engage these major criminals. and move on to the provinces, or make the research in the metropolitan area. But it's not well organized, because you will see that many people just work trying to keep the train station safe, while the local police should do that, and not the federal police. The federal police should be working in something more important, and not keeping safe the trains. Um, and that's frustrating too, because they have another training, and still they are using as local police sometimes.
Yeah, that's one thing too, and I'm realizing that in a lot of countries like Argentina, that crime is a lot more is prosecuted more at the national level. Here in America, a lot of the prosecution of criminals is still very local. We have the city sheriff or the county sheriff, for example, and county sheriffs are elected, so it's in some ways they really do like to say, this is I'm sheriff here, I'm the boss, not the feds. And so, but obviously they do work with agencies higher up, and then in America you have a state police department, usually of the 50 states, and then you have which would be equivalent to the provinces down there. I don't know if they have provincial police and
Yes, actually,
police.
our
Yeah,
provincial police from Buenos Aires,
yeah,
for the province of Buenos Aires, I will talk a bit about it. The police of the province of Buenos Aires has more like 100,000 of members. It's the double of the army from Argentina. It's quite huge, actually. I think that it's one of the biggest forces of all the Latin American region, and it's quite useless. And people don't trust too much about the local police or the province police of Buenos Aires. Then we have like urban guards, and the urban guards, they really don't use guns. They just create a logistic for the police from the province, and it's supposed that the police from the province should support all the actions from the federal police. Then, as you said, the people who are charged of being the prosecutors, who was this district?
yeah. There's definitely
District attorney will be.
yeah, yeah,
Well, here is called fiscal de distrito, and the fiscal is not elected. You have to take a lot of exams and levels to be in this position. So there are only a few of them, and they are like detectives too. It's like we don't have detectives.
yeah,
Uh, we have this function too, but it's not like a real function. It's only works when the district or the attorney district charges someone or start a research, and then they send a message to the federal police that they are researching for someone. So the federal police has to help the this attorney district. And yes, there is like a local district too, a local attorney district here in a local level. It's not very common, but they are more related for civil law cases, not for criminal cases, or that could be resolved by making a probation.
yeah. So, how much of an issue is more what we call in America white collar crime, like financial crime, embezzlement? Certainly, the Kirchners would be considered white collar criminals because they didn't really do things that were right violent, but they certainly stole a lot of money using nonviolent means.
Yes, white collar crimes. Here, it's actually very common. It's more related about how people steal from the budget of a state or created a phantom company.
Yeah.
And a government just use this phantom company, and they just give the budget to work, and then the budget just disappear, and then you will see a lot of yachts, a fleet of yachts in front of the river, and one make a denounce about this case. And we could say about the case of Jaime. He bought some trains that was like trash, instead of buying new trains. It's like a very famous case from 15 years old. Um, it was a white collar crime because he just washed the money from the public budget and killed with him the money instead of using it um, to make public infrastructure. It's quite common here, and all the crimes of politicians are related with these fake companies or contracts with companies who are friends. It's like part of crony corporativism or crony capitalism. They just created a fake company to steal the budget.
Certainly. Yeah, that's certainly something we need to look into. Specifically, what is going on with some of the more high crime areas? I mean, we certainly hear a lot about Rosario.
Yes, the case
Yeah.
of Rosario. How they
Yes.
stopped the homicide rate? Well, I was talking with a friend about it last week. Bullrich, the security minister, the government of the province, they created a new law to detain people to go then to prison, or to stay them paralyzed in the police department for 3 months because they cannot show an ID. It's like in Argentina, it's quite common to use your ID for everything. So they cannot they cannot show their ID in front of the police. So if you cannot do that in Rosario now, you go to jail, to the jails who are in the federal police departments or in the provincial departments of police for 3 months until someone present your ID. So all the criminals and murderers of Rosario are in jail now, and that's how they reduced the homicide rate, like 60%. They reduced it in 10 months, 12 months, maybe.
In fact, somebody reminded me we're doing this show, and apparently yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the Montoneros attack on the 29th Infantry Regiment in Monte, which occurred on the 5th of October, 1975, and this was by Montoneros.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe, am I correct in saying that Ms. Bullrich was once part of Montoneros, wasn't she?
Yes, she was part of the guerrilla when she was young. She had 18, 19,
Yeah.
18. And she was called Juanita la
Yes.
Pistolera,
Yeah.
or Jan the Ganger, and she was part of many terrorist attacks, actually, against members of the militia, members of the army, officers in general. And
Yes.
then she was part of the Peronist Party, and she left maybe in the 80s. And then she switched on to another party, the Radical Civic Union. Yes, that's correctly. And many people know that. It's like many politicians from Argentina were part of the guerrillas in the 70s.
Yeah.
In those years. Jorge Tayana, the candidate of the Kirchneris, he was diplomat from Argentina, was a guerrilla member too. It's like many people in Argentina, they did a lot of things. Actually, it's quite common. It's like they choose, oh, I want to change my life, so I will do something completely different. It's quite common. It's not only about politics. you will see in professions too, because you can be a doctor and then, I want to be a lawyer too. So they just study law and they create a new life. Basically, that's quite weird. Maybe in other societies, not very common.
Yeah, it's Bullrich was out of the country. I remember Juan Schiaretti, another person who ran for president 2 years ago, was also out of the country for a while because they essentially had to hide out. It's uh, Bullrich has certainly had a colorful career in life and politics. I can, but she's so loyal to Milei, and I'll admit I said some really horrible things about her during the election on this show, but
Yes,
uh,
that's real. It's like Milei used all the paths of Woolrich to attack her
yeah,
and win the election against her. And they have like an agreement. It's like who lose will have to join to another. And they talked about this like 2 years before. And so Milei used all the artillery that he has, against Woolrich, uh, and everything is like, oh, you are a killer, you are a murderer, oh, you are really do that, and then you presented to be president, and then you try to judge me, and I did nothing about it. I am just an economist, and that's real actually.
yes, but it wouldn't be the first time something like that happened. It's as I like to compare it to, it's like the former computer hackers who become security consultants. The term in America we like to use is they go from being black hat hackers to white hat hackers. So uh, well, I hope the crime situation. It looks like the crime situation is improving. I mean, it's and how much of is there a connection between organized crime, say, and communist parties, and even people like, say, Maduro or the Cuban communists.
We
I
have
know
like,
that connection. I know that connection exists in some other countries in South America.
yes, actually here exists, because of the Peruvian cartels. The Peruvian cartels has more related connections with um, the cocaleros. The cocaleros is like a large group of people
Yeah.
who supports Evo Morales. It's the ex-president of Bolivia, and
Yes.
they get all the resources to prepare cocaine from them, and they move on like a guerrilla group or an organized group full of weapons. Now the government of Bolivia, which is leftist too, is trying to detain Evo, and Evo has an army of people with him, and they had this connection with the Peruvian cartels. Then you have another organized criminal groups operating in Argentina, like Comando Vermelho, the Red Command of the Red Commando from Brazil. They had like 100,000 members actually active, and they were actually a communist party in Brazil, and they operate in all the region. And you will see that probably they operate in Triple Frontera, in the frontier with Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina. You have Comando Primero da Capital, or the first commando from the capital from Brazil, which also is operating in Argentina and Uruguay and Paraguay probably, and they are more difficult to treat than the Comando Vermelho sometimes. Um, but as you can see, many of these cartels are not from Argentina. They are actually from other countries that operate in Argentina. But yes, we will see that many of these organized groups have some connections with terrorist um, local governors, or local mayors. It's quite difficult to don't say that what happened with these 3 little girls who were prostitutes in my district, uh, it was something invisible for the Kirchneris. It's like Espinosa is the mayor of my district, and it's quite difficult to think that he didn't know about the situation of prostitution and the presence of Peruvian cartels. Maybe he just take his take, his slice, of the cake, and he didn't say nothing about that. and that's quite common in Latin America too. It's like it's an endemic corruption and cooperation with criminals.
Certainly seems to be the case. I also noticed apparently Milei. There's a new law against animal cruelty, which so animal cruelty wasn't illegal before all this. I do find that interesting. I'm not surprised because Milei is such a dog lover. And another factor too is you especially look at a lot of kids. They often start doing horrible things to animals before they start doing horrible things to people. So if you can get to the kids before they maybe before they graduate to killing people, that you might be able to save some lives. But so what can you tell us about that?
Yes, here animal cruelty is quite common. You will see that there are these cults from Brazil, the urban beast, you know, they look like Italian cults, and they always stole pets or animals from the streets. Here is quite common actually to find stray dogs or stray cats, and they will make sacrifice with these animals, and they just throw the corpses in some there in some place, you know. It's quite common to find these traits of animal cruelty. You will see too how how bad they treat the horses. It's like you will see that many poor people still have horses in rural areas or in the metropolitan area, in the most poverty areas, you know. And you will see how they whipped the horses to keep them working. Um, eh, and childrens always saw that actually it's quite common that childrens are close to animal cruelty, and if you let the children to see all this, it's probably that they will get to use it to this cruelty and try to reproduce. And if they start to dehumanize people, and they will treat like animals to other people. It's like an process that they have in their behavior.
Certainly, it's well, yeah, people being mean to strays. That's just is awful. I mean, there's poor dogs are already down and out enough. They don't need to have they're often so hurting anyway. It's just I love dogs. I'm allergic to cats, so I don't quite have the same feeling about them. But just dogs are just amazing animals, and they're a beautiful gift to all of us. So yeah, so there's something else too I saw here that was very interesting. More dealing with property rights, and this is somebody who's well known in America. Manu Ginobili, who is of course a basketball player here in the U.S. for the San Antonio Spurs, which is about 80 miles from where I grew up. In a landmark ruling that underscores Argentina's commitments to property rights, they ordered the Mapuche community to
Ah,
return 13 hectares of land uh, taken from Ginobili in 2018. So this is quite interesting. So it looks like Ginobili is going to get some of his property back, and I know they're going to say, "Well, yeah, he's this rich basketball player, but yeah, he's a yes, that's a
yes, that issue is quite important because it creates a precedent in law, but actually it's quite common that many people see their lands stolen by Mapuche people in the south. That's why actually my family didn't buy something in the south, actually, because they thought, oh, why are I going to buy something in Patagonia or move on to there if Mapuches can go to this place and take my house after investing in buying this house? You know, it's created more risk to buy something in Patagonia. Is someone to say, "Oh no, I am a part of Native American tribes, and I am blonde and I have blue eyes, but I perceive myself as a Native American. So I will take your house because it's my property, because it's part of my native ancestry to take your land. And that's ridiculous because it's like, even with all these people who is European in Argentina, like 80% of them still has some native roots. It's like I am like 1/4 Native American, and I look more Native American that is fake Mapuche people, and that's hilarious, because it's like he's saying that he's Mapuche, but he's blonde, and his last name is German, and I look more Native American than you, and you still are trying to steal the land from another guy in the name of these uh, uh, Native American groups. But many of these tribes, they already have lands because other governments already give them lands before, and they are like they have like a formal inscriptions or an organization from the state from Native Americans. And so you will see that you have real tribes of Native American people who already have land, and then you have people who perceive themselves as Native Americans and try to steal another land. And if they cannot steal, they just burn the house, which is worse sometimes.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like we're making some progress here in Argentina. I hope the crime and if people feel like they have more choices, they're less likely to go to crime. And I don't know. I should have asked you sooner too. Do we have a lot of boys that are growing up without fathers in Argentina? Or is that, I mean, how common is that? Because that, unfortunately, that is one thing that we can certainly say leads to crime is boys who don't have their dads around.
Yes, actually, I think that the real why boys are more violent is because they already don't have a masculine figure, a real father. Because I don't see them. It's like if you ask for their father, they will say, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe my father died. Maybe my father is in jail, or my father abandoned us. So we are by ourselves." So they only are taken care by a mother or maybe a grandmother, which is worse sometimes because the grandmother cannot impose order in their house because she is weak. Um, then we have another issue, which is criminal families. I saw that there are families who are criminals, and they raise children who are criminals, and you will see like white collar families who are like this, or families who are very poor, and you will see like you have three generations of criminals: the son, the nieces, the grandfather, the father, and they continue in that dynamic, and it's quite difficult, I suppose, for these families to to escape from that dynamic of crime. That's quite common too. I suppose that is common in the United States, that there are some families who are families of criminals actually. Um, I remember this because my father used to say that one family that he knows is full of criminals, and they already were criminals 60 years ago. And you will see that they already have children, and their children are still criminals. So they are in the same always.
Yeah, it does seem to be there is often a cycle that continues over and over. Well, Leonardo, I think this has been a good talk about the crime situation. Do you have anything else to say before we go?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say thank you, Chris, for your patience, because we already had some problems for connection. And I hope we can do this with better organizations to use the cameras. And well, I will we just have to keep in touch, and I can update you more about situations in Argentina. It's quite interesting, and this issue about the new criminal code, because I was reading current criminal code. I have one in my hand actually.
Yes. Well, certainly it's certainly we hope things get better. I think things are getting better. The midterms are certainly going to be huge. Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say about the elections coming up?
About elections, well,
Yeah.
you will see that Expert has to renounce to be candidate, and now we have another candidate, which is Santilli. He's red hair, and so his name is Colo Santilli for common people. Um, there was like a media operation against Spur because he has some links with this drug trafficker, Fred Machado, which is he was detained by the justice in the United States. Um, there was rumors about that, like 6 or 5 years ago, when Spur started in politics, but it was never confirmed. We didn't have something very sustainable about the connections with Spur, but now some group of journalists presented new proofs against the case of Spur, and that created a situation that Spur has to renounce. And that created a new problem for the government of Milei. But Milei taken the best decision because they cannot present Spur during the election. They had to present another candidate. And the candidate that we already had was part of Juntos por el Cambio, part of the PRO, this party of Mauricio Macri. It's another political party, it's right winger. They will present to elections with this new candidate. And actually, they have to change all the papers for voting, which is very costly. We will see because that created, it's like the scenario is moving very fast. This problem with the Spur was something that you cannot see in last week. It appears now in the last days. It's like very fasting. All is moving very fasting in the political scenario and electoral scenario. But I suppose the people from the government will use the problem of Diana, the Kirchner's candidate, because he actually has criminal records. As I told you, he was a guerrilla fighter too. So he is not better than Expert and his accusations.
Yes, most certainly. Espert's running for what exactly?
He can you repeat a bit the question?
Espert is running for what office exactly?
Just for being a congressman, it's just the first one in
Okay.
the list. It's like in the midterm elections, he was running for being part of the Senate. He was running
Yeah.
for being part of the Senate in the Congress, and he was a congressman, a deputy in the another chamber. So he wanted to make a flip flop and try to be more important, but he couldn't. He get so strong media operation against him with proofs, with his connections with Fred Machado, and he couldn't he couldn't give a good explanation to the media. So he created a bad position for Javier. Javier trusted in Spert, and and Spert already betrayed in 2 occasions to Javier. Javier already pardoned. He already supported Spert. A part of all this situation, but it was very uncomfortable situation for Milei to live in all this during electoral midterm elections. Um, so he just moved on to the next candidate, and that was better for all the situation because all the electorate that Milei has is more Republican, more institutional. They want more cleaner backgrounds in their candidates. They demand more. And Kirchner they are just full of criminals, they will see that they have a background full of crimes, a lot of their candidates, and they don't care. They only care when the candidate who is not Kirchnerist or Peronist has a problem with justice. It's a double standard.
Yeah, well, certainly. It's been great talking to you. I think that's a good place to wrap up. Where can we find you out there on the web, Leonardo? Do you have a website or anything or not?
Yes, sure, for sure, please.
Or Twitter or wherever?
Yes, I really have an Twitter account. I will let the nickname.
Yes. Yeah, Leo Stereo. Okay, well, please like this show, subscribe to the channel, go buy my novel, Escape from the Village. Check out my Substack, and people are giving me money to buy me a coffee. So thank you, Leonardo Cabral. I'm Chris Baker. We're out. Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.